Engeba Sojola here. In this video, we'll be particularly looking at two institutions that were established right after the Second World War, right? These two institutions are known as the IMF, which stands for the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, right? Now, the IMF and the World Bank were founded in June of 1944, as I just said, right after the Second World War, right? At a place known as Bretton Woods, in a state known as New Hampshire, in a country known as the United States, right? Now, these two institutions, right, they were to establish a framework for economic cooperation that is aimed at stabilizing the global economy and promoting global and international trade, right, in the form of globalization and neoliberalism. Now, when we look at the IMF, the purpose of the IMF is to oversee the stability of the global monetary system, right? It also has to monitor the various global currencies that exist in various parts of the world, right? It also promotes international commerce, right? And it also, what can I say, promote high employment in various economies around the world. When we look at the World Bank, its function is to reduce poverty, right? By assisting middle income countries and low income countries, right? So basically what they want is to eliminate extreme poverty, right? And increase the shared prosperity. These are intergovernmental organizations that basically shape the financial and the economic development of the global order. Now, when it comes to the debt trap, right, it is believed, especially by countries in the global south or developing countries, that these two institutions, the IMF and the World Bank, right, convince current countries to take loans with them, right? And then trap them in a cycle of debt that they cannot pay back, right? And then the country needs to compromise certain things in terms of, let's say, maybe them selling their resources. Let's say the country has oil, selling the resources for oil for cheap, right? And maybe devaluing their currency, right, to a point where the country cannot pay the loan back, right? So the countries, the developing countries, are caught in this debt trap, right? And as part of this debt trap, countries are also required not to spend a lot on social spending. The government can't spend a lot on education, social grants maybe, and education, right? So it also encourages austerity, right, and high interest rates. When we look at one example, we take a look at the example with a country known as Argentina, right, in 2001, when they took the loan. I think it was about $60 billion worth of money, right, from the IMF, right? They were required to increase their austerity, right, and pay high interest rates loans back. So that ended up in the country moving into poverty, great unemployment, and the likes. So when we look at the history of these two organizations between a period of 1960 and 1995, right, they say there were about 50 countries which they um, loaned money to, right? And they say about 60% of those countries that they loan money, about 32 countries were at a worse state than they were before they took the loan. So we better be very careful in taking loans and create our own institutions that can be able to offer us loans, let's say in the form of DeFi, right? Staking and yield farming, and basically decentralized finance, right? To assist us in dealing with our financial obligations. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll see you in the next video.